Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your AutoTrail Savannah. So it's a 62 plate, which is 2012, and we'll start under the bonnet. This particular one is the automatic model. So on the left hand side here, we've got your washer fluid reservoir, power steering fluid, and your engine coolant. Brake fluid in this reservoir at the top here, attached to the servo just behind it. Engine oil filling point, and your engine oil dipstick. So I'll go back in. For some reason it's not. There you go. Your paint code on this one, because it's a silver one, is 611. The chassis plate that you want to go off is this one just here that says AutoTrail on it. The original one, when it was just a Fiat van, is this one just here, but this is the one that you actually want to go off just there. The positive terminal for the battery is just under here, so that's your engine battery, and the negative terminal is this one just here, just above where it says only for jump start. So the reason that they're there, by the way, is that the engine battery itself sits under the floor in the cab, so you've got points to jump start from under the bonnet there as well. Because it's the automatic, you have got the automatic transmission fluid reservoir there as well. Air filter sits inside this box here. Other than that, it's all pretty straightforward. That's about it, really. To release the bonnet, we've got your bonnet release handle just here inside the passenger door, as well as the LPG or the gas locker release handle just there as well. Also just here on the near side is your fuel filler cap, just there, which is obviously diesel, and your LPG filling point from there as well. So the gas itself is in these two, I think they're either 11 or 13 kilo bottles. Can't quite see which ones they are. They're probably the 11s, to be honest. So these are the refillable LPG bottles, and they're gas low bottles. The steel braided hoses, I can see there you've got till 2034 to replace them, because they're steel braided, they last a lot longer. So all you need to do, or all you need to know really, is that you go anti-clockwise around to the left to turn the bottles on, and clockwise around to the right to turn them off. You need to make sure that they're off before you start driving on every trip. And that's about it really. Refilling it is just from that point there, like I said, and that is honestly about as simple as it gets. Turn them both on when you want to use the gas, and once you've done that, you should have gas in the vehicle. Just pop that down for a minute. So you've got the awning light just up there, nice LED little light. I'll do the inside of the van in just a minute once we've been around the whole of the outside. The step in and out switch is the black button at the bottom. You just press that in the once and it'll go all the way in or all the way out. These two vents just here are for your fridge. Now, I've taken the little winter covers off because I've lit it up on gas. So really, every time you want to use that on the gas, you should be doing the same. Take those little winter covers off. Again, you only really need to use them in the winter, to be fair, but leave them off when you're going to be using it. Toilet cassette locker, really easy to use. All you need to know really is once you pull it out by, basically, if you get it in properly, all you need to do to take it out, lift up on this little yellow or orange handle and then pull the whole thing towards you. That releases the entire thing. You can then take the entire thing out. Yeah, so all you need to know really is that you empty it out from here. So you unscrew this cap and empty it out. When you are emptying it out, you should be holding down the little orange button there at the back. Also, if you can get yourself some silicone lubricant, it's really important. Bear in mind we haven't done the habitation check on this just yet, so that will be lubricated by us. But it's really important to keep this little rubber seal lubricated. If you don't keep that lubricated and it starts to sort of perish, what happens is when you actually use the toilet, whatever goes into it won't, that's basically a seal between the cassette and the toilet inside. So after a little while, if that starts to sort of deteriorate, the seal there between the toilet and this cassette, won't be sort of waterproof, and all the whatever's in there will go outside of it and into into the locker and all that. So that's why you need to do that. You've got an external gas point just here, so that's your barbecue point basically. There, like that. And this is your boiler vent just here. So if you wanted to double check the boiler was definitely working, you can put your hand underneath this and that'll tell you whether or not it's actually on. Freshwater filling point is this one just in here. So push in and round to the left to get that to come out, in and round to the right until it stops, and then you basically put your key in there like this, if I can show you. Pop the key in, twist it whichever way it will go, and then take the key out. Once you've done that, you can't take it out, it's just locked. Locker at the back, well, garage at the back should I say. Absolutely loads of storage space back here. The bottom of the bed there as well. So just make sure there's nothing underneath that I need to show you. Nothing there, nope. Okay, so we just nip around the other side now. So on the other side, you've got this big locker here, which I've already got open. So you've got your twin leisure batteries just here, which are really nice and easy to get to because of that. If you ever need to get those out, it is just a case of taking these little screws off on the other side and then they'll just completely pull away. But they're nice and secure in there. Nothing wrong with the batteries as we speak, they're working really, really well. Got all the lights on inside, everything's working. Hookup point is this one just here, so you can have the hookup plugged in and still have it completely closed up, so that nobody can sort of unplug it for you and all that sort of thing. Wastewater drain off point is this one just here. Basically just twists around like this. That's open, that's closed, and then you get quite a lot of storage over here on the left hand side as well for sort of wet things if you like. External hot and cold water point just there, and the point for that is just inside this locker, so you just basically push that in there, turn it to the left for hot, right for cold. The fresh water drain off point is this blue one just here at the back, and you just literally twist that around, and then at the back loads more storage in there. Yeah, just the water pump in there really. So that is the outside of the vehicle, so I'll just jump on the inside now. I've got the entertainment system switched on at the moment, so you can see sort of kind of how that works as well. It is very, very warm in here, so I'm just trying to cool it down a little bit so I don't melt. Okay, so straight away, as soon as you walk in the door, you've got just above your head the control panel here on the left hand side. One minute, I'll just open this window here. So the control panel there is really, really simple. It's a Sargent control panel, and the reason it's a Sargent control panel is because you've got a Sargent power supply unit, or PSU. So it's an EC500, that's the model of it. So first things first, you've got the main on and off switch just there. That turns absolutely all the power to everything off or on. You've then got your water pump switch and your light switch. So once that light switch is on there, you can then go ahead and use all of your switches. All the lights have got individual switches there, lots of nice sort of LEDs and various different lights in various places. Little sort of spot lamps there. So that's all your lights on that switch there. You've then got the awning light switch just there. This little button here, don't worry about that one. Also, don't worry about this one. And the reason I say that is that when you press this button here, basically what happens is all the power starts being drawn from your vehicle battery. Problem with that is that when you start to draw power from the vehicle battery, when, you know, if you do it for too long, you won't be able to start the vehicle up later on. So it's really important to keep the leisure battery the one that actually works, the lights and things like that. So basically just don't press that button. this little button here is a tank heater switch, which again, you only really need to use that in the very, very peak of winter. It's just to stop it freezing, basically. So that is a tank heater. So straight away as well, on the right hand side, we've got vehicle battery level, leisure battery level, freshwater level, and wastewater level. I'll flick through time and dates and timers and things. It tells you the amp hour that's being drawn from the battery at any time, solar power going in, and the actual battery amps that are being drawn out. So that's the capacity of the battery there at the moment. I don't think that's right because everything's working perfectly well, but so you got 5 amps being drawn at the moment. That's from all the lights and that sort of thing. The actual physical voltage of it and the solar power. And the same for the vehicle battery there. So that's the control panel. So basically when you come into the vehicle, turn it on, turn your lights on, and then you have access to all of your lights and anything 12 volt. 12 volt sockets here, like this one, will work as well as soon as you turn that power switch on. With regard to the water switch there, the water pump switch, I haven't got any water in the van at the moment, which is why I haven't left it on. If you turn the water pump switch on with no water in the vehicle, what will happen is, because it's a pressurizing pump, it'll essentially try to get to pressure, and because there's no water there, it can't. So it physically will not turn itself off. So it's really important that you turn that pump switch off when you're not using it, just in case the pump ever runs on, because you'll end up burning it out and having to replace it. So that's really important. The other thing that's quite important as well is before you start using the boiler, if I just get to it quickly, the boiler. So, good example. So the actual boiler itself is just in this locker underneath the near side rear bed there. So it's a new style boiler, which is a really good thing. And you've got the boiler drain off point just here. So where it was just there in the upright position like it is now, that will drain out any water that goes to the boiler or any water that's inside the boiler. When I lay it flat like this, absolutely any water that goes to the boiler will go to it, fill it up and stay in it. Okay, so it's really important that now, because I've just seen that's well, to be fair, we have to do the habitation check on it yet anyway, but if that was upright when you got the vehicle, you can know for a fact that the boiler is empty of water. And so it's really important to fill the boiler back up again before you start trying to use it and light it up. All right, so to do that, you lay it down flat like I've done there. This is assuming you got water in the tank as well, obviously. Lay the little drain off point down flat, turn your pump switch on, and then just basically come to the sink and draw the water through. So you can see on the tap itself, you've got hot on the left, cold on the right. And so all you need to do is pull the tap up on the hot side and wait for the water to start coming through. If that boiler is empty like it is now, it will take about a minute or so to actually fill the boiler up before you'll start getting water coming through the tap again. And water coming through the tap on the hot side is the only way for you to physically know that the boiler's full. Now, I don't want to sort of talk your ear off about it, but the reason that sort of happens, the reason it works, is that essentially you've got a freshwater tank underneath the van here, and you've got a wastewater tank. The wastewater tank is separate, we don't need to talk about that, but the freshwater tank, basically you've got a water pump that attaches directly to it. When you pull the tap with the pump on the cold side, it just draws straight from the freshwater tank straight to the tap. When you draw the tap on the hot side, it draws straight from the tank through the boiler and then to the tap. So if the boiler isn't full of water, you won't get anything at the tap. So when the water starts coming through on the tap again, you can know for a fact that you've definitely got water there, and that you can then go ahead and start lighting it up on the gas or whatever. So hopefully that makes sense. So talking about the boiler, these dials on the right hand side of the AutoTrail badge here are for the boiler. So you've got Truma Combi and Truma Combi E. It's combi because it's a Truma Combi boiler. It doesn't mean that you get instant hot water like you do in a household combi boiler. The reason they call them the combi on here is because it does heating and hot water. That's the only reason why. So what you've essentially got is on the left hand side, the one that says Combi E is your boiler energy selector. So where it is at the moment on this little gas flame symbol is gas only. All right, so whatever we tell it to do over here, whether that be heating or hot water, it's going to do it on gas only. If I went up 1 or up 2, that would be doing whatever I tell it to do on electric only, so electric hookup. If I went down 1 or 2, it would be doing it on gas and electric at the same time. All right, so that's just an energy selector. The one on the right is the one that actually tells the boiler what to do. So if I went down 1, we've got heating only, and I have to turn it right up because it's really hot outside. If I go down 2, is heating and hot water, and you'll get a little amber light come up here in any second now. Fingers crossed. There you go, actually it is on. It's just hard to see in the light. Can you see it in there? It is on, it's just really faint in the light. So, heating only, heating and hot water. If you go up 1 or up 2, that's hot water only, and that's 40 or 60 degrees of hot water. Okay, so as I said, it's energy selector telling the boiler what to do. So if, for example, I went all the way up to the top on the left hand side and all the way up to the top on the right hand side, I'd be getting hot water at 60 degrees on electric only. Or if I went all the way down to the bottom on the right hand side and all the way down to the bottom on the left hand side, I'd be getting hot water and heating on gas and electric. But for the most part, you're going to want to leave it there in the middle on gas. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense as well. You've got this fly screen which comes across here, which is really, really nice. They don't always have these, and to be fair, if they do have a fly screen on the door, they're normally a little bit fiddly to actually use, but that is as easy as it gets. Next thing I'm going to show you is this cupboard here. So as I said, this is your EC500 PSU, power supply unit, and it does say that on there. So essentially what this thing does is it takes power from either the electric hookup or the leisure battery, and the vehicle battery actually, and it basically takes the power in, splits it off to wherever it needs to go to. So you've got all of your fuses, your 12-volt fuses in here, and they're all labelled with the number and colour. They've also all got a number next to them, going all the way through to 14. And you can basically just, it's so easy, you can just go through here, fuse number, what colour should it be, and what amp rating should it be, and what does it do. So that's why I love these AutoTrails so much, is that because if, for example, you know, not sort of doubting any other vehicles, but if the water pump was to give up on another motorhome, I would have to sort of dig around and find the water pump fuse and then do some more digging after that. Whereas with this, if the water pump stopped working, I'd come in here, go through here, water pumps, fuse number 4, check that fuse. It really is as easy as that. So that's what your fuses are there for. You've then got your 240-volt trip switches, which also have a little diagram telling you what each one does. When the electric hookup's plugged in, you'll get this light coming on, and if you want to use the electric on the space heater or water heater, these two will have to be pressed in as well. So that's what they are. Entertainment system, like I said, I have that switched on at the moment. Essentially what it has is the double din stereo down there is directly linked up to this, so you can essentially have whatever you want plugged into this and, you know, use it as a TV. You have also got another TV section here, like a socket next to it as well, so that is where you sort of have a TV. There's probably one in the back here as well, no doubt. Yeah, there you go. So you got your TV socket and aerial point there, so you can have, somebody has had a TV bracket there at some point in the past. So that's the TV sort of run down, if you like. So the TV aerial situation, so you've got a oyster satellite dish on the roof. Now these oyster dishes are not cheap, and they are very, very good. So all you need to do to use it is press this left hand button here, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but there we go. It has now lifted up and is spinning round to try and find Astra 2. Might want a little bit of lubricating. This is the first time we've had it up. It's just spinning around now trying to find it. But basically that's what it'll do. It'll go round and round, try and find Astra 2, and then once it's done that and locked on, that is all you have to do. And all of your sort of aerial sockets like this one here will all have a decent satellite reception. So that is that. So now if I press that button again, it will go down. So there you go, you see it laying flat. And that is it. Nice and easy. That is how you use your satellite dish. If you don't want to use a satellite dish and you want to use the manual tilt and turn aerial, which I don't know why you would do that personally, but you can do that. Undo this little bit here, push the handle up, and that is what physically lifts up the TV aerial. I don't know if you can see it. No, not really. But that's what physically lifts up the aerial, and then you can twist it around. That's why it's called a tilt and turn aerial. You've also got next door to that this TV aerial booster. It's a Vision Plus booster. You can turn that on and off from there. I wouldn't be surprised if you need to have that switched on even when the oyster dish is working, just to amplify the signal you get. You might not, but I just think you probably will find that you'll need to do that. So that's all that stuff is up there. When you turn that switch off there, the TV should turn off. There you go. Okay, so you've got the full-size range cooker. This little bit needs to be stuck back on. The heat's obviously sort of melted the glue a little bit. Noticed that as I walked in. So you've got a 3-burner hob at the top and a electric hot ring there in the corner. So the 3 burners are this one here, bottom left, this one here, bottom right, and this one, which is top right. So you've essentially got the ignition switch there, which does all 3 of those top burners. You've also got the electric hob ring there, like I said, which will only work when the electric hookup is plugged in, but that's just a case of turning it through, 1 through to 6. The grill is this one just here, and you do need to have this door open when you use that. And the oven is the one on the right. Underneath the oven, there's normally some... Oh, there's not what I was going to show you. A lot of the time, there'll be some sort of gas isolators and things under there. But anyway, you can just see there as well, just out of interest for you, the external water point is just there. So if you ever needed to get to that, that's where it is. And also, because of that, just be careful when you're shoving things under there, not to sort of push the water pipes or anything like that, because they are a little bit prone to leaking when there's things sort of pushing them around and bothering them, if you like. Microwave up there, nicely tucked away behind this little screen. So you have got these bits in here. Now I mentioned at the show, but these little wires here are completely irrelevant. We just need to chop them off when we do the habitation check, because it hasn't got a submersible pump, so it doesn't need them. Full-size standalone table is just behind this little cover here, and you can open this up as well if you should ever need to fill that up. Looks like there's a little bit of access to stuff down there, more so for us really than anything else. Okay, so the fridge. So this is a stack style fridge. That basically means it's the biggest fridge they make. So it's an AES fridge, which means, or stands for automatic energy selecting. So Dometic make nearly all of the fridges nowadays, to be honest. And and you know, these ones are pretty reliable. They don't tend to give us much problem. So if I show you how it works then. So at the moment it's flicking through two words on there. It's flicking through AES, which, like I said, automatic energy selector, and gas, like it says now. So basically what it's saying is that it's automatically selected gas for us. So if I want to change that mode manually, I'll click on this one twice and flick through the different modes manually. 230 volt is the hookup, and now that's flashing red at me and beeping and whatever else because we haven't got the electric hookup plugged in, so that's not going to work. The next one is 12 volt. That's also going to start flashing because the engine isn't running, and that's the only way that the 12 volt works. And the last one is gas. That will work, so it will light up on its own. There you go. So because at the moment the only one of those three ways that I've got, you know, used at the moment or have available to us is the gas, is the only reason why I can only use that. The other ones there, if I had the electric hookup plugged in, the 240 volt switch there would work, and if I had the engine running, the 12 volt switch there would work as well. So if you want to, you can leave it on AES and it will automatically choose which energy to use for you, but in my opinion it's just as easy to go through there and choose it yourself. And the reason I say that is that a lot of the time the AES one will get itself a little bit confused and choose the wrong one. So the idea is behind these fridges, the idea, like the way to sort of use them properly, is essentially to if I just explain it quickly. So the gas and the 240 volt, the gas and the electric hookup are the only two ways that this fridge will get cold by itself. If you don't pre-cool the fridge before you change it over to 12 volt to drive, this fridge will still be warm when you get to wherever you're going. All right, so you do need to pre-cool it before you leave. So the way that I would recommend doing that personally is if, for example, you're going to go on holiday tomorrow morning, I would come out to the fridge and choose either mains or gas, whichever one you have available. Ideally the mains, because then at least as well you would have had the van hooked up overnight on the mains cable to charge the batteries right up before you leave as well. But either gas or the mains, and then all you have to do before you leave is switch over to 12 volt, start the engine up, drive off, and then when you get to where you're going, switch back to either the gas or the mains. So that is that. And turn that off. What am I doing wrong there? Oh, I'll sort that out in a minute. This is the only issue about doing videos before the oh, there you go. I was going to say, the only issue with doing videos before the hab check is that sometimes there's slight issues that we haven't actually had a chance to look at yet. But anyway, there you go. Right, so that is how you use the fridge. I'll just quickly explain as well. Again, not trying to sort of talk your ear off about it, but the way that the reason that this fridge works on 12 volt when the engine's running and all that sort of stuff is that when you start the engine up on this, you've obviously got the alternator which charges the engine battery like any car or van does. You've then also got what's called a split relay, which basically splits that power in half and sends half of it back to the leisure batteries and a little bit off to the fridge as well, so that all the time your engine's running, you're charging up the leisure batteries and you've got power going to the fridge. So that's why that works. So showing you the fridge, showing you the boiler drain and the cooker. And obviously you've got the shower, separate shower in here, which the shower door does come over here and completely close up to stop it flapping around when you're driving. And the toilet in here as well. This door does go over and completely close up like that as well, so that if you wanted this as like a separate room, you can have it like that, separated you from the front. The toilet itself is very, very simple. All you need to know is that you've got a blue button just here, which is your flush. When you press on that, it will basically pump around the flush fluid. The water pump switch will need to be on the control panel to use this, just so that you know as well. And when you want to drain it into the cassette, push on this to the right, That'll drain it into the cassette and then pull it back all the way across when you're finished. Like that. So, that is that. Bathroom has got a light switch as well. It will have somewhere. There you go. In there. A little bit of storage underneath there as well. Okay. So, in the back, there's not really much to show you, to be fair. There's the pump there. Well, pump. There's a new pump in there. Lovely. Absolutely tons of paperwork. Like loads of paperwork. Mainly sort of, you know, previous MOTs, service paperwork, all that sort of stuff. All the good stuff that you want to keep when you buy one of these vehicles, because it does make a big difference when you come to sell these on, whether it be back to us or privately or to another dealer. That is something that's really important, especially for motorhomes, even more than cars really, because you know, there's so much more complex. The motorhomes, there's so many more bits in them. So yeah, it's really important. So I'll close these up now as well. I think the last thing I want to show you really is just the cab, to be honest. Just show you a few bits and pieces up here. Both of these front seats do swivel around, so you can pull on these here and then it will swivel around. So just pull it back and the whole seat will swivel. You have got a little switch just here which will turn off this center screen. The reason that we fit these, well, we didn't do this one, but the reason that, you know, the leisure industry fit these is because it's so common for these radios or any sort of radio to drain the batteries out. So they tend to fit a little switch somewhere to completely isolate it to stop that from happening. Anyway, so you've got the electric adjusting mirrors, so you can just basically select which mirror you want to adjust and then move that little bit there around like a joystick. Electric windows, and lock and unlock the cab from here. You've got the cruise control just here, so you just basically turn that on and then you've got a pause and resume button on the left hand side. The lights on and off switch is on this left hand stalk here, and the air conditioning switch is this one just here in the middle. Hazard warning lights, and then I'll just quickly run you through the automatic sort of system. Now in its literal sort of state, if that makes sense, the gearbox itself is actually a manual gearbox. It's just basically got what they call an electronic selector or a robot, some people call them, on top of it or next to it. So the only reason I say that is because that's the reason why you haven't got a P button on here or a P selector. Again, not trying to chew your ear off about it, but the reason that is because in the actual automatic gearboxes, the P or the park function that you've got there will basically put a pin through one way or another and actually stop the car from physically moving. Whereas with this, when you put it up into neutral, it doesn't actually stop the van from moving. So you do always have to put this handbrake on. You know, whereas in some automatics, you can just shove it up into a park and just let your foot off the brake and that's it, you won't move. Whereas with this, you do actually still have to use the handbrake every time. That's the reason I sort of run you through that. So top right hand side puts you into neutral. Straight down gives you reverse. If you go into the middle and let go, it goes over to the left hand side, and that will then have you in automatic mode. If it doesn't put a little A up on the dash there, it will mean that you're in manual mode, and whatever number it comes up with on the screen there is the gear that you're selected in. So all you need to do to select automatic mode or manual mode is just press to the left once, and that will change what it says on the screen in there. So if you don't have an A next to the number, you need to just do that once to the left and it will come up with an A next to it, and then you can just drive off and it'll be automatic. If you leave it in manual mode, so press next left again and it gets rid of the little A there, you can literally manually select through the gears, so downshift and then changing up the gears like that. You can do it all manually if you want to. So that is how that works. They're very easy once you've got to grips with it. Really simple. But yeah, so I think, as I said, we haven't had a chance to do the habitation check on it just yet, but I've absolutely no doubt. Oh god, All the bits that are being held together by glue are just giving up because it's been directly in the sun all day. So we'll just have to stick these bits back on with proper glue so that doesn't happen again. But yeah, it's been so hot today, it's just everything's falling off. Okay, so I think I've shown you everything I can. If there's anything you think you would like going through again, or anything you think I've missed out, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.